One of the best memes that my community has in fact created is when they found my Steam account during a live stream, and then it's become now an actual running gag that while I'm streaming, they are going to be sending me video games on Steam. Not just any video games, the most debaucherous, the most lecherous, the most honestly disturbing games you can find on the platform, and making me accept them to my Steam account while I am streaming. No, I'm not kidding. Just take a gander at some of these bad boys right over here. Yeah, that's been kind of fun to see and open up while you're live and then have to just sit there and say, thank you for the gift. I appreciate it. The thing is, though, it turns out that these games are basically under attack. Not just the games, though. Your actual ability as an adult and consumer to make the decisions on what you want to purchase with your hard-earned money on a platform is what's under attack. You see, I'm not a fan of censorship in many senses of the word, because in all respect, who the are you to tell me what to do? But the thing is, it turns out that payment processors are trying to be the morality police. A bunch of people just walking around the table deciding where you put your money and how you spend it to determine what they feel is appropriate for you to buy. And it can fall down a massive slippery slope that honestly, I don't think anyone wants to go down. Here's what's going on. According to Niche Gamer, they tweeted this out the other day. Steam updates its rules to comply with payment processor censorship. Purges multiple titles. Details below. Now, honestly, that seems a little bit intense if you ask me. I've never been a fan of having a company or corporation try to dictate to me what I can and cannot purchase, especially a company and corporation who has my actual money. Telling me what I can and can't buy with my own money kind of rubs me the wrong way. But let's see what's actually happening in the article from Niche Gamer down below. Steam, the largest PC gaming platform, has recently updated their rules for developers to prohibit content that may run afoul of the nebulous standards of payment processors. According to Automaton, the new rules remain vague and directly mention how this restriction is mandated by payment processors, such as card networks and banks, saying the developers should not submit, and I quote, content that may violate the rules and standards set forth by Steam's payment processors and related card networks and banks or internet network providers, in particular, certain kinds of only content. Now, this isn't the first time this has actually occurred. In fact, many payment processors have done this already. They've done it to sites like OnlyFans, Fansly, Patreon, and DLSite, and many other sites in Japan as well, restricting what can and cannot be purchased with that actual payment provider. In effect, making a direct form of censorship for the actual customer and consumer, even though it is that consumer's direct money they are choosing to spend at these locations for that kind of content. It's one thing if it was the government saying, hey, this is illegal to purchase, you should not have this, and hey, yeah, totally. If it's that kind of content, I totally agree. It's another thing though when it is simply just legal content that is available for the consumer to purchase, and the actual payment processors are the ones refusing to complete the actual transaction because they want to have the morality check in place of what you can and cannot buy. In fact, I'm not the only one that feels this way. Asmongold replied to the Niche Gamer tweet saying this: payment processor monopolistic censorship is one of the biggest unchecked cartels right now. Regulation is needed to either break up these companies or guarantee a degree of service. It's not a free market, quote unquote, when every company operates collectively. And Asmongold is actually correct. It's not a free market when every single payment processor behaves the exact same way or has the same morality being brought to you as a customer and consumer. If you want to buy My Therapist is a Futanari 1, 2, and 3, I think you should be able to do so. Again, it is not illegal material that you are trying to purchase, and having giant monopolistic conglomerate corporations dictating to you what you can do with your money and where you can spend it is beyond another set of approach, because this becomes a massive slippery slope, as they then get to decide what is okay for you and not for you yourself as an actual adult and free human being. I think that is the major issue between all of this. Having companies dictate what you can and cannot purchase, depending upon their morality being placed onto you, is the bigger issue of all. In fact, I had to go and double check to make sure this rule was true, and it was. This is the actual website for onboarding on Steam. In fact, rule number 15 was recently added. The problem is, when I use the Wayback Machine, this was added recently. And we can see here that the most recent update for the Wayback Machine, showing that rule 15 is not in effect, is as early as April 14th of this very year, which means between April and July, something had to occur for Valve to literally, in my opinion, bend the knee towards actual payment processors and providing a new rule determining what they can dictate to choose what can and cannot be on Steam's storefront, a direct open platform. Many of the rumors going around, though, seem to be pointing towards an initiative called Collective Shout. And I'm going to say this right now, it seems to be a bunch of Karens screeching about things they don't like and trying to get things taken down. In fact, here's a direct statement on their main page. Since our launch in 2010, we have achieved many wins. Billboards objectifying women pulled down, clothing withdrawn from sale, violent games banned, Andrew Tate's pimping courses removed from Spotify, and an age verification trial underway to help protect kids from exposure to last year saw 34 record wins. I'm gonna be real, guys. Y'all should change that number to at least 33 or 35. Trying to use the number 34 is not going to be a good way to put that on the internet. Just letting you guys know that right now. But things get to be a little bit more clear, as Collective Shout also posted a recent open letter on July 11th that is directly posted against payment processors and Valve's Steam storefront. In fact, in the open letter, they directly point towards all the presidents and executive officers of those main actual payment processors like PayPal, MasterCard, Visa, PaySafe Limited, Discover, Japan Credit Bureau, which we're going to talk about again as well later on. And at the same time, providing direct email documentation and templates to go ahead and mass email and flag down those payment processors to go against what they feel is morally justified on those specific platforms, and use that pressure to determine what you can and cannot purchase, even though it is in fact perfectly legal to do so. In fact, on that website, they posted this paragraph saying this: our research has shown that many of these games would breach Australian classification laws. Most of the content found within the games, including the graphics and the developers' descriptions, are too distressing for us to include on our own website. One of our team members has done extensive research using her Steam account, and the content found including family members. This is the part that honestly truly pisses me off. It's the fact that a couple of screeching Karens over in Australia can truly get together and now decide what I can play on my Steam account depending upon what their morality is, because they want to pressure the payment processors and make them feel bad about it. This is just cancel culture 2.0 all over again. If they had their way, games like The Coffin of Andy and Laylee wouldn't be available for you to play at all. Even though that game can be incredibly disturbing, it really goes to show that other people who do not understand what video games are as a true form of art should not have the ability to censor and push towards what other people can and cannot purchase because of their specific moralities. Really? Who the are you to tell me what I can and cannot buy? As long as it's totally legal and you're not ending up on the Epstein files, really, I don't see what the issue truly is. Yeah, some games aren't made for you. That's okay. They just released Donkey Kong Bonanza. Go play that instead. Don't push what you feel and what your ideal morals are onto other people, because that is not your responsibility. Take care of your own house before you start talking about what other people can and can't do with their money. And the fact that groups like Collective Shout even exist simply because they want to be the morality police on a bunch of things really goes to show that they truly do not understand the medium of video games, and they really just want to do one thing directly, and that is control the content that you consume. And sadly, it's already begun, because according to SteamDB on Blue Sky, Steam has added a new rule disallowing games that violate the rules and standards set forth by payment processors and card networks of internet network providers. At the same time, many Steam games were removed from the store. SteamDB continues by saying this is possibly related to PayPal because people in certain regions have not been able to use it or pay on Steam for the past 5 days. And this is incredibly concerning. Number one, that Valve had to acquiesce to these payment processors in order to go through and remove those games listed. So that means internet service providers, credit card companies, PayPal, and others can now choose and dictate and bully other people and companies and places on what is available for you to purchase. Even though I don't like any of those games at all, and I see them basically as just a bunch of memes, there are in fact people that do not see this as a good sign. Check this out. Starhawk on Blue Sky also said this: I'm sure most people can agree that those games are gross, but this is another case of payment processors dictating morality. What about when PayPal decides it doesn't like violence, or Visa decides it doesn't like bank robberies in GTA? Why do these companies get to decide what legal things we buy? Starhawk is absolutely 100% correct. If the product is legal, if everything is above board, other companies and other Karens of Collective Shout and other credit card merchants should not be telling me what I can and cannot purchase. This falls under direct slippery slope. And even though people can call out and say it's a fallacy, how many times have you seen the slippery slope happen right in front of your face consistently over and over again? And like I said before, the craziest part is the fact that Valve had to acquiesce to this directly. And I know some of the arguments being levied.
Oh, Alex, you're just a gooner. You're just a degen. That's the only reason why you want this to go away, because you just want to all over the place because you're gross.
No, that's not it at all. This can impact so many people on either side of whatever spectrum you're on. It can impact developers who want to make a new violent game. Remember Hatred? How much flack that game got and how Karens wanted to have that game removed, even though it really wasn't that good in the first place? This can impact people on either sides of the aisle, regardless of what's happening directly to them specifically, simply because whatever the payment processor deems to be righteous or moral on their ethical standard is what they'll choose to go forward and allow to be purchased, which means it could be a massive clusterfuck of content no longer being available for you to buy. And like Starhawk said previously, what if one day, let's say Visa, MasterCard, and PayPal decide that they don't like loot boxes in video games? Counter-Strike, Overwatch, Marvel Rivals, every other game, Wuthering Waves that provides this kind of content for you, gone, poof, off the network, because they thought that their morality supersedes what you can do with the money that you're actually spending in the first place. That is the major issue of all of this. It's not about how much am I gonna goon today. It's more about how companies should not be dictating what I can and cannot buy. And it's not the first time they've done this. In fact, this happened last year, and the creator of Nier, Yoko Taro, said this: it's a security hole that endangers democracy itself. The Nier creator speaks out against payment processors pursuing Japanese adult content platforms. In fact, this also happened again in 2024 with Denpasoft tweeting this out: "Well, this is concerning. Received word a few minutes ago that we are forced to remove a large number of our titles from Denpasoft. Extremely disappointing, but considering what happened to DL Site earlier this year, not entirely surprising. We'll have a write-up about this soon." And the write-up basically showed all the titles that had to be removed from Denpasoft's website from sale simply because those merchants did not want that availability of content for you as a customer and consumer. In fact, it also happened earlier again this year, with Niche Gamer pointing out how payment processors are also forcing Japanese retailers to remove adult games indefinitely from their stores. And it also happened as well for Japanese developers on Steam, as adult game devs in Japan can't receive revenue from Steam as Japanese banks reportedly make the comprehensive decision, quote unquote, to block transfers. And like I said, I get it. I don't like those games either, but I can simply go ahead and choose to just ignore them on my Steam store page. There's in fact a setting to do so you don't even have to know they even exist. And that's the problem with all of this. Steam has already given you, the consumer and customer, the ability to ignore all of these games and all of these things that you don't want to see. You can even drill down to the kind of genre you don't even want to look at as well. So it makes no sense while everybody else should have direct moral authority over you as a customer and consumer of what you can and cannot play. And the biggest fear of all of this isn't the fact that Magoonie games are gone, it's the fact that where is going to be the line for them. And the real problem isn't the fact that they're going after those games, it's the fact that we do not know where the morality line ends for these companies and corporations. Places like Collective Shout, they can then go ahead and choose to go through and go after games like Grand Theft Auto. Remember that entire hot coffee debacle we had back in the early 2000s? Everybody freaking out about that thing compared to what games are like today. It's almost like we're going back in reverse, where there's too much control from corporations and companies trying to dictate what you can and cannot do with your money that you literally give them, that you're saying, look, I have your debit card. I have your credit card. I pay you. If you're going to go ahead and tell me what I can and cannot buy, I shouldn't be paying it out of my own pocket, period, point blank. But that's not how they want it to work. They want to have full control and autonomy of what you can buy, what you can consume, what you can see, what you can play. And that's where the big issue comes in all of this. And that's where I have a massive issue overall. The morality of a company and corporation should not be dictated on you as a customer and consumer. And if you're watching this content, more than likely you are a grown-ass old man watching this and realizing that, hey, they shouldn't be telling me what I can and cannot do with my money. It's literally my money, and if it's spent in a legal manner on legal products, there really isn't a factor at all on why they should be involving themselves with what I want to play and what I want to do. I think that is the massive issue with all of this. And these companies and corporations are going to try and push the line even further to dictate what you can and can't do with your money. And that is the scariest part of all of this, and that's why I'm making this video. It's not because I'm a gooner. Yes, I totally am. I'm not gonna lie about that. Who doesn't love a good Futanari 3D animation? Tell you what, it's because of the fact that these companies should not be telling you what you can and cannot do with the money that you've earned on a legal space, on a legal platform, buying legal products. And that is going to be the line that they're trying to cross. And anyone being in support of this is going to learn the hard way that these rules can also come for you as well. Because when the content that you like is now put under the microscope and they deem it unnecessary for what you want to watch and what you want to play, that's when you'll realize, oh shit, fuck, I should have been there from the beginning. If you want to see more of this kind of content, more PC port reviews, gaming news, Steam Deck videos, hot takes in the gaming industry like this, fanboy content, and live streams every Saturday night, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 88,000 subscribers, and I just want to say thank you guys so very much. If you want Discord access or emotes during live streams, become a YouTube member. It's as low as $1. And if you don't want to spend the buck, don't sweat it. Saturday night, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, live right here on this channel. The live streams are insane. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. About 5.5 hours of 800 people insulting me with AITTS and embarrassing me nonstop with horrible Steam gifts. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. With all that being said, though, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you gooners next time. Peace!